Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. This is Brittany Likes Bookies. We don't want a little dance now. We're gonna add things to the intro. It will be fine. This is Brittany Likes Bookies, where we keep it cute, we keep it classy, we definitely keep it diverse. Today is actually, I'm filming this on my actual birthday, so we'll probably go tomorrow after my birthday, but today is my 32nd birthday, and I have been doing a series on my Instagram and TikTok about 32 black books that I recommend that you should definitely read. Now, when I say 32, I'm so sorry, you're moving with me. I think we went a little overboard. And by overboard, I just mean there's more than 32. But I wanted to do an extended video for YouTube talking about them. There's going to be some bonus ones that I didn't include in my series because it's so hard to just pick 32 because clearly there are a lot of them. There are a lot of black books that I read, and I love black books. I love black authors, and honestly, like, there are a few books written by black authors that are some of my favorites. But before we get there, let's get into it. Let's start with it. We're gonna get into it. Black books. As they say in my intro, and it's in the bio, we keep it diverse here. I am a diverse reader, especially with everything going on in the world, and I don't want to get into it, but also it's just a reminder, I am a content creator. I am not just what my job is, if you know. I'm not going to go into it, but this is me and my opinions. That's my disclaimer. This is me and all of my opinions, my own opinions. I won't really be talking about my job anymore on this channel, so just adds up. The last video that I posted, one and done. But that's my disclaimer. This is me, my opinions. So please keep that in mind. We all have our own opinions, and we are allowed to have our own opinions. Okay, great. I love black books, and with everything going on in the world, especially right now, and people wanting to erase black history is American history, and it's Black History Month. So I felt it was super appropriate, especially this year, more than ever, to highlight those black books. And I'm going to go through them, and there are, because I can do this in a longer form content, there are more than the ones that I recommended during that series. I'm going to do a bonus episode of it, of me talking about the ones that weren't highlighted by my 32nd birthday, but definitely deserve to be highlighted. So I want to emphasize that. They all deserve to be highlighted, okay? And because I love reading diversely, if you have some that I'm missing in here that you think I should read, please put them in the comments. I love it. Please add them. I'm also going to, while I'm here, I remember there's a book that I'm going to talk about that I needed to grab from behind me. So let's get into it. Let's talk about some. First up, and I think I have one of her other ones somewhere else, so it might come up. The first author that I'm going to talk about with 3 different books is Tiffany D. Jackson. I love Tiffany. My first introduction to Tiffany was Grown, which I will pull out of these. This book is incredible. I should have said this at the beginning, but some of these you will need to check trigger warnings. That is just a general disclaimer, but I will always remind you to check trigger warnings. This is pretty heavy, but I read this in one sitting and it changed my world. So I became an auto buy for Tiffany. White Smoke was incredible, and so was The Weight of Blood. If you've never read a Tiffany D. Jackson book, you are missing out. Definitely go check out Tiffany. She is one of my favorites, and I cannot wait for her next book. Next up, and you will see her again, because I have an arc of one of her other books over yonder behind all of the piles. Brittany S. Lewis. Y'all, if you have seen me on Threads or IG, I've been feral over Brittany's next book, Blood Moon. But I was introduced to her during her debut, which is The Undead Truth of Us. It is incredible. This book, like, so much so that I pre-ordered a signed copy because I was so excited and fell in love with it. This book is so good. It is one of those books that you, like, when you're reading it, you're truly transported. You want more. And that's how I felt reading this. So definitely check out The Undead Truth of Us, and you will hear more about Brittany and her other book, The Dark Place, a little later. Next, we're going to talk about one of my favorite YA thriller writers. You know I love her, I know I love her, and I'm dying for her next book. Let's talk about Joelle Wallington. Joelle's debut. Their Vicious Games, I forgot what chance they were in, please. Their Vicious Games was incredible. I was listening to the audio and I could not listen fast enough. Like, every time I had to stop, it was physically painful. I fell in love with it. I loved The Blonde Eyes First. I prefer Their Vicious Games, but both are incredible. I cannot wait for her next book. Joelle Wallington. You're missing out if you've never read Joelle. Next up is one of my faves, and I think I have one of her other books somewhere else, but we're going to talk about this duology right now. This is LaSalle Sambury. Blood Like Magic, Blood Like Fate. This duology is a killer. If you love fantasy, romantasy, and female rage, this right here, you will love this. LaSalle has a way of just pulling you into a world and making it so you never want to leave. Like, ever. Literally. Definitely check out this duology, and I cannot wait to talk about her other book that's somewhere hidden here. I know there's a lot of books. This is probably going to be really long, but oh well. Clearly I'm feeling it today. You didn't hear that. If you heard stuff in the background, no you didn't. Next up is Blood Debts by Terry J. Benton Walker. I do believe this is duology or a series. I'm one of those people that can be really bad about finishing series, especially if other books have come out, and usually that's my problem, is I simply just forget. I'm very forgetful. It happens. But Blood Debts was incredible. I need to reread it so that I can read the next book. But if you want something that's intriguing and engrossing, Blood Debts. Read it. I also think I need to pull something up from Over Yonder at some point, because I don't think I have the standard edition. Well, I do have the standard edition. It has stenciled edges, but it's over there. So that's for another time. Anyways, let's start with the next book. This is Dead Girls Walking by Sammy Ellis. I loved this book. I am, first and foremost, like, besides romance, I'm a thriller girly. Thriller, mystery, suspense. Give it to me. Sammy, she knocked it out of the park with this. This was so good. I loved every second of this, and I could not get enough. You can't tell me anything about this book. I will take no criticism. Definitely read this. Up next, and I think I forgot to grab her other book. I know I do have it. It is somewhere on my shelves, but we're going to talk about Frida Abike Adeyemi. This is Where Sleeping Girls Lie. This is my favorite of the two, but it's hard to pick a favorite because Frida is incredible. She is an incredible writer. I have never felt more engrossed in a book than when I'm reading what Frida writes. This and the other book that she has written is Ace of Spades. I cannot wait to see what comes next. I got the arc of this, and once I started it, I couldn't stop. Like, I wanted to be there, and I wanted to be there, but, like, I also felt like I was. And it's that good of a book. It is that good. Both of her books are like this. You really need to read them. Like, clearly I'm, like, a big YA thriller fan, and this is at the top of the list for sure. As I said, I knew we would be talking about her again. LaSalle Sambury, Delicious Monsters. This is incredible. Need I say more? Go read this. Plus, this cover is stunning. I'm obsessed with it. It just gives so much of the vibes in this book in the cover, and you will not be sorry. Read this. Next up, and we're going to also talk about a few of her other books, Somewhere Over Yonder. Clearly there's a lot of them, but first and foremost, we're going to talk about Cherish Farah by Bethany C. Morrow. This is a suspense thriller. Incredible. Bethany has such a phenomenal prose that I fall in love with everything that she does. And this was no exception. So definitely check out Cherish Farah. Whew, loaded. Okay, we're moving around. obviously I don't do a lot of editing, so you guys will just see me moving around. I'm so sorry. You're just gonna have to deal with it while I figure out how YouTube works and how I'm gonna do my editing style and all of that. This is only my 4th video, so next up, there's 4 of them. Kennedy Ryan. I cannot make any of this series without talking about Kennedy Ryan. Yes, I don't have a physical copy of her other series, but Kennedy Ryan is incredible. Whether you're reading Real, whether you're reading her Rebel King series, or whether you're reading When You Are Mine, or Loving You Always, or next book in the series, can't get enough. But if you're reading that series, you know Kennedy is top tier, and I fall in love with everything that Kennedy does. There's nothing else to it but that. Kennedy's incredible. Next up this is her adult romance series, Brown Sisters. Talia Hibbard. I wish I could put into words like how much I loved the series, and I found the series after it had fully come out, and I binge-read all 3 of them. It's To Get Him Danny Brown, Get a Life Chloe Brown, and Actor Age Eve Brown. I think Eve is my favorite, but it switches. If there's ever like a series that I want to feel seen but also feel comforted with, definitely Talia's. I love the series. Talia also has books other than the Brown Sisters. Excuse me. Other than the Brown Sisters, but this, I think it's, no, I'm gonna have hiccups. This is what happens when I drink too much water. This is definitely, I think, my favorite series of her, but anything that you read by Talia is incredible. Next, this is an honorable mention that wasn't in my original series, but I wanted to shout it out. You've Been Served by Christian Alicia. This was such a fun romance rom-com. She plays with a magic 8-ball, and like, if I know anything, it's, you know what, sometimes you just, you gotta use some chance in your love life, and I thought the premise of this was so fun. I really enjoyed it. Definitely check this one out. Kristen really knocks it out of the park. You've been served. I almost said you got served. You've been served. Karen says to her, Kiana Alexander, Kiana can do no wrong in my eyes. This was the sapphic romance of my dreams. That is all there is to say about this, and read it. Read it, for sure. Next is Nick Stone, Dear Martin. This is a shorter book, but Nick does have some longer books. She's also in a couple of anthologies, Blackout and Whiteout, with a bunch of other authors that are also talked about over Yandi. But Dear Martin is very poignant, and it hit me. It hit me. This is incredible. Yeah, I wish I could form words, but just read this. Next up is another honorable mention that I didn't talk about in my original series, but it's going to be in my honorable mentions that I post on IG tomorrow, aka when I'm hoping this video is live on Monday the 17th. You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. I loved this. I had so much fun reading this. It is the gay book of my dreams. It's just so fun. And there's something to be said about being a young queer person in high school and like discovering that and being openly queer, especially in states where being queer isn't always looked upon kindly. I think Leah does a great job capturing that, and I loved this. It was great. Next is my YA Talia Hibbard. You probably heard me talk about this if you've followed me for a long time, but Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute. This gave me everything. It gave me life. It gave me clear skin. It gave me everything that I ever wanted. I can't say enough good things about it. I think after I finished it, I talked about it for 2 weeks straight. I don't know what that says about me, but it was adorable and I loved it. You definitely have to, like, if you want something that's fun and flirty, but like still poignant, Talia, always. Next is another honorable mention. I think a few of these next few are honorable mentions that I didn't get a chance to talk about because narrowing it down to 32 was hard, but Love is a Revolution by Renee Watson. This book is beautiful. It's beautiful, it's stunning, it's written incredibly, and it's something that really hits you in a way that you don't want to stop. But, like, you also do because you just want to sit with parts of it. Yeah, Love is a Revolution, Renee Watson. Check it out. Next up, another honorable mention. This is not in the original series, but YouTube gets it first. Y'all are getting to see extras. That's how much I love you. Next up is My Ariel's When I Think of You. This book is incredible. This is just a stellar rom-com. If you need a good rom-com, When I Think of You is great. I would highly recommend picking this one up. Same could be said about this, The Accidental Pinup by Danielle Jackson. In my mind, Danielle can do no wrong. I love all of Danielle's writing, but The Accidental Pinup, there's just something so freeing about being a plus-size woman and being able to see yourself in a book, and this was no exception. Danielle knocks it out in the park with this. And, of course, another honorable mention. The next few that I go through are going to be honorable mentions, so I'm just not going to say it anymore, but Jasmine Guillory's Drunk on Love. Jasmine also does no wrong in my mind. This is probably my favorite of hers, though, and if there's anything that I think you should start with, Drunk on Love is definitely the one that you should start with in Jasmine's repertoire of incredible novels. Definitely this one. I loved it. It's such a great rom-com, and it gave me truly all the feels. Never Wraith by Shakir Rashan. This is actually being republished by Shakir himself into a book called Sageborn. I'm super excited for him. He's also written like adult romance, and they're also incredible. But I wanted to use this as a point to talk about Shakir because Shakir really pulls you in and really gives you what you need, not what you want. And I think that's great. I adore Shakir. I think he's a wonderful human being. And I cannot wait to see the changes made and what Sageborn becomes. So, it may not be Never Wraith, but definitely check out Shakir. Also a big fan, Sign of the Slayer. If you were a Buffy fan, this is not Buffyverse, but it's like Slayer adjacent. This is Sign of the Slayer by Sharina Harris. I loved this. I thought it was so fun. There's something that's just so incredible about a Slayer and a vampire dynamic, and there's nothing that gets me like something like this does. And I had so much fun reading this. This was so great. There's also a sequel called Soul of the Slayer, I think. Also great. But again, I have a pea-sized brain. Definitely check this one out. It's a lot of fun. And of course, I couldn't make a video without mentioning my girl AJ Locke, Magic Dark, Magic Divine, and then the sequel, Magic Corrupts, Magic Conquers. These are so much fun. They ain't nothing I love more than a good witchy book. And this is them. Like, I loved this. They're so fun. I highly recommend checking out this series if you want like an adult-ish, like NA adult witchy series. And I believe it's set in New York. Might be. I also have 3 appearances. Anyways, but this series, definitely check it out. AJ Locke, it's incredible. Also, this is just one of Jessica's books, but Monstrous by Jessica Lewis. Jessica has other books ranging from like cute picture books to middle grade YA. Jessica can do no wrong in my eyes. Also an author. I'm trying to remember, there's another book of hers and like my mind is going blank. Anyways, Jessica Lewis. I'm not gonna bore you with Brittany trying to remember anything, but Monstrous by Jessica Lewis, or really anything by Jessica Lewis, is incredible. You should definitely check out Jessica's work. It would not be complete without me talking about Kimberly Lemming and her Mead Mishap series. I read that That time I got drunk and saved a demon. Y'all, I have never had so much fun reading a book. Are these a little batty? Sure. But did I love every second of them? You bet. Like, this series is just so much fun, and there was nothing that I love more than just something that is fun. Like, fun, cozy fantasy. And that's exactly what these are. So if you've not read any Kimberly Lemming, why? Basically, that's my only question. Why? Next up, we are out of the honorable mentions for now, but this I did talk about in one of my posts. Lore of the Wilds, let's speak correctly, Brittany, by Annalise Sabrana. First off, Annalise is so funny on social media, but Lore of the Wilds is incredible. It is engrossing. It pulls you in. You want to be there. Truly, like, you want to be in this book. I'm so excited for Lore of the Tides. I don't have time, nor would I know if I would get approved for the arc, but I cannot wait for Lore of the Tides. This is so good. If you're looking for a shorter but so incredibly enthralling fantasy, read Lore of the Wilds. Y'all have heard me scream from the rooftops, if you've been with me for a while, about the Blood Trials duology by Annie Davenport. Blood Trials, The Blood Gift. I don't know if I want to be with Akenna or be her, so that's how incredible Nia is at pulling you into this world. Like, I loved it, and if you want female rage, Akenna is the tea of female rage. You will not regret reading this by any means. This duology sent me. It is a new adult, so it does have a sprinkle of spice. I loved every second of this. I listened to the first audiobook and I couldn't get enough, so I immediately bought The Blood Gift and binged them back to back, and it was incredible. I do not regret it one bit. So good. Y'all want a sapphic romance? Don't worry, I got you. Outdrawn by Deanna Gray. I always just want to make sure that I'm getting the authors right, so that's why I kind of look at them sometimes, but Outdrawn. Let's look at the camera. God. Outdrawn by Deanna Gray. It's such a fun sapphic romance. I lived for it. It was so good. I loved every second of it, and I will not take criticism about this book. Okay. Next up, I haven't read this one by Elise Bryant, but I've read other Elise Bryant's, but this is It's Elementary by Elise Bryant. Elise has such a phenomenal prose, and I've loved what I've read from her, and I actually got this as a gift for my birthday from a good friend on social media. They bought it from my wish list, and it still boggles my mind that people even want to give me things, but I cannot wait to dive into this. But I've loved other works by Elise, and I cannot wait to read this. If you have not read any Elise books, I highly recommend you do it because Elise is incredible. I'm just using this to showcase Elise. Next up, there's more of Kaylin somewhere else, but I'm actually listening to the audiobook of this and I'm having so much fun with it. This is You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kaylin Bayron. I love Kaylin, and I'm going to talk about some of her other books in a minute, but this is so fun. If you want a fun YA, like slasher type thriller, Kaylin always got you. And she also has another book called Sleep Like Death. It's in her Twisted Fairy Tales, but I'll also talk about some of her other books. But this one, it's so fun, and I love the edges on the Waterstones edition. I'm gonna bring them in. They're so cute, and Kaylin is great. I love Kaylin's work. I have always loved her work, and that's that. Okay. Next up is Nomina Forna. This is her Gilded Ones trilogy. I don't have the third book, but I believe it's called The Eternal Ones. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure that's it. It's a beautiful blue cover. I arc read The Gilded Ones and fell in love with it. I could not wait to read The Merciless Ones, and I have read all three. I love this duology. I think it's incredible. It is such incredible fantasy work. She does a phenomenal job with world building, and you feel like you are on this journey too. And I think that was my favorite part, is that I felt like I was there. And when action picked up, my heart was racing, and it truly felt like I was experiencing what they were experiencing, and that's the mark of an incredible author. Namina's great. Definitely check out the Gilded Ones trilogy. It is so good. You will not regret it. I talked about this one today. I am a nonfic girly. I don't know if many of you knew that, but I read some nonfic. This is Becoming by Michelle Obama. I mean, what is there to say? Michelle is incredible, and I loved reading this. It was so fun. Next up is another like memoir type book. It's How to Save Babylon by Sophia Sinclair. This was gifted to me by Simon & Schuster, and I read this, and there's something so poignant about memoirs, especially when like you're really like getting into the nitty-gritty, and I feel like with this one you really do that, and like it's just beautiful, and I loved everything about this. So if you are like a memoir nonfiction person, definitely check out How to Save Babylon because it's incredible. Now, sorry, my back has been bothering me, so sometimes like sitting weirdly is not fun, but alas, we're going to talk about our next book, The Reformatory. I'm going to say this wrong. And no matter how many times I listened to it said correctly on Google, I still messed it up because I'm really bad at pronunciation. And that's not an excuse, but I promise you I did try. Tananarive Due, The Reformatory. This is an incredible thriller. And I wish more people talked about this. Like, I saw it in a lot of like thriller and mystery circles talking about this and how incredible it was and how engrossing it is. And how, like, it is one of those books that, like, lives with you long after you finish it. I just wish more people talked about it. Just in general, like, if you dabble in a bunch of genres, or if you're ever interested in, like, mystery, suspense, thriller, please read this. It's one of those thrillers that still to this day has stuck with me. And I can't get over it. It's incredible. Next up is another fun one. This is Thieves' Gambit by Cavion Lewis. This is such a fun series. I am not typically a heist person, but there's something about the way that Cavion writes it that just pulls you in. And you, like, I didn't care that I was reading a heist book. So I don't know what that says. Maybe, like, I do like heist books, but maybe only if they're written by Cavion. This is just it's a really fun book. It's really engrossing. You really get into it, and I think I had the most fun reading this. I really did, and I love the sequel. It was great. If you are in the mood for like heist and mystery and suspense, definitely check out Thieves' Gambit. Next up is our Eric Thomas. This is Kings of Beemore. Sometimes there's books that you read and like they just sit with you, and this was one of those books. Like it was fun, but it also gives you like that type of feeling. Like it just sits with you because you enjoy it and you feel like you're there. And this was that book for me, and it sat with me long after I finished it, and I loved it. Definitely check this out. This is a YA contemporary, and I think Eric Thomas does such a good job of making you fall in love with the characters and making you not want to leave them. And this was just so good. Plus, who doesn't want to take on Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Which that kind of is, but his own twist, and he does such a great job about it. If y'all know me, you know I've been annoying about Kylie Reid before, so it wouldn't be right if I did not talk about my girl Kylie Reid. I read Such a Fun Age when it first came out, and I fell in love with it. I told everyone I knew to read it. So when I heard about Come and Get It, I couldn't wait to get my hands on it, and I loved it as well. Kylie can do no wrong. She's one of my auto buys, but I think of the two I prefer Such a Fun Age, but I think both of them are incredible in their own right, and Kylie has a phenomenal way of writing that just makes you want to keep reading, and I've just really loved it, and I've really enjoyed it. Next, Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. This is just such a beautiful story, and it's one of those stories that you're smiling and you love it and you get lost, and I definitely got lost in Honey Girl, and if you're looking for one of those stories, definitely check this one out. It is such a great book and you will not regret it. Next is actually an author that I found on Threads. This is Erica Alexander. This is Sweet Like Honey. This is her ex-roommate series. This was so much fun. I had such a great time reading this, and like, I'm a romance girly at heart, so like anything that has me kicking my feet, giggling, you got me. And this was definitely that. If you can, just go check it out. It is so good. It is so fun. You will not regret it. Next is an author that a lot of people have heard me talk about before, and it would be surprising if you never have. Angie Thomas. Need I say more? YouTube gets the story of, I've told it a few times, but it always tickles me because all of these are indeed signed, but On the Come Up and The Heat You Give are personalized to me, and this was before Concrete Rose had come out, and it was like right around the pandemic time, and it was when Animal Crossing was really big, and I was addicted because I wasn't flying, so I was playing it while I was river sitting, and it was something fun to do. And I remember way back in the days of the good old Twitter, Angie tweeted about needing red roses, and I like had a whole rose garden, and I had more than enough red roses. And she was trying to do an homage to Concrete Rose before it came out, and I was like, hey, you can give them to my island. So we became Switch friends, and she came over to my island, and it was a great time. I took pictures of it. They're probably still on my Switch somewhere. But she sent me The Hate You Give and On the Come Up, and one of her like writing journals, and they're so special to me because it was like something so silly and minute that like I was like, you really don't have to send me books for giving you something for free. But they're still some of my prized possessions. I even have pins from both of these books, and then I pre-ordered the signed first edition of Concrete Rose because I love Angie, and every book that I've ever read of Angie's has really stuck with me, and Angie's also not her by author for me. I talk about it a little bit in my TikTok video, but she also has a middle grade series called Nick Blake. I do have it. It's in my bedroom. For those who don't know, we also do have shelving in our living room and shelves in my bedroom. And there's books, there's books all over the house. So they're also in there. And again, pea-sized brain. We just got back from dinner, and I should have grabbed it, but yes, Nick Blake is also good, and I also like sprinkled in, since I didn't grab it, and I probably should have gotten up and grabbed it before I filmed this, but I think it's Danielle Clayton that also has a middle grade series called The Marvelers. If you guys ever want like a middle grade Rex, I will do it. I love middle grade, even though I'm 32, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, Angie Thomas, this is still really special to me, so that's my fun Angie Thomas story. She's a delight, and I love Angie, and Angie can do no wrong in my eyes. Next up is someone I adore dearly as an author, Case and Calendar. I'm just using Felix Ever After because this is the physical that I have. I've read a lot of Kaysen's work, and it's incredible. Kaysen just has a way of writing that makes you want to read, and it's a rare quality to feel everything that I feel reading what Kaysen writes, and I think Felix Ever After kicked that off for me, and I know a lot of people talked about this. Yeah, there's nothing I love more than an author who can capture you, but not just you, but capture your mind and your heart, and Kaysen does that. Next is one of my favorites. I adore this book. I've talked about it before, and I found out that there was a sequel to this, and I didn't know, and again, it goes back to the Brittany forgets sometimes that there are books that she's read and loved, because there are just so many books coming out, you just hear about so many of them, and then I see pictures, and I'm like, oh my god, there's a sequel coming. And the sequel just recently came out, but this is Briarcliff Prep by Brianna Peppins. There's a sequel called Briarcliff Prep Sophomore Year, also by Brianna Peppins, obviously. I loved this. This was just good. It was one of those books that I was like, yeah, this is what I need, and I loved it. I ate it up. There's something to be said about a boarding school book. Okay, it just, yeah. Anyways, for clip prep, definitely check this one out. Next up is another honorable mention that I didn't get to talk about, but I probably should have. This is Witches Steeped in Gold and Empress Crowned in Red by Sion and Smart. I enjoyed Witches Steeped in Gold. I think I've started Empress Crowned in Red, and I'm enjoying this a little bit more than the original, but I think this is a great fantasy. It's really, really deep, so you really have to get into it. And that's, like, this is a very high fantasy, and it's very, it's one of those, it kind of reminds me of another series that I'm going to talk about, Tomi Adeyemi's Children of Blood and Bone. There's a lot that goes into it, so you really have to follow along, but it is well worth the payoff. I enjoyed it. I think you will too. So definitely check these out. I'm going to switch my battery. Okay, we're back. Full battery. That is how long I've been yapping. Back to it. Next up is a book that I really, really enjoyed. The sequel is coming soon, and I'm going to have to do a reread before the sequel. I've also begged the publisher for the sequel. No shame. Anyways, this is Blood at the Root by Ladarian Williams. I really enjoyed this. I've seen a lot of like conflicting opinions on it. I didn't listen to any of the reviews when I first read it, but I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I had a good time. I really liked it. I thought it was such a fun, different take on magic. So much so that I'm really hoping that he does come out with Cayman University merch, because your girl would go. But yeah, I love Blood at the Root. I'm excited for Bones at the Crossroad. I also love that title. Bones and Harmony was definitely a rotation in my early childhood, so yeah, this is good, and I'm excited for the sequel. Next up is So Let Them Burn by Camila Cole. I think this does have a new cover now, but I love both of them so much, and the sequel is out now. I have to get the sequel, but this is really fun. Really, really fun. I think there are just some fantasy books that you have a great time with, and they're well written, and this is definitely one of them. You will love this. Definitely check this out. So Let Them Burn. I just wanted to, because I know it was like kind of shiny, just wanted to make sure that people saw the title, okay? We's going through all this, so we're gonna make sure you're seeing the title. Next up is another honorable mention that I didn't get to talk about, but I'm going to post about tomorrow, aka the 17th. Hopefully when you're watching this. This is Sing Me to Sleep by Gabby Burton. I love this. I have to read the next book, but I love this cover. And like, I am one of those people that, yes, sometimes covers get me. This cover definitely got me. I needed it. And when I read it, the cover did not steer me wrong. This was so good. So good. And there's nothing like a good fantasy when you need it. And like, I do read a lot of fantasy. It's not typically my first choice. I am a romance and thriller normally, but I do love fantasy. I love romantasy, and this is stellar. Absolutely stellar. Gabby does such a great job. Engrossing, enthralling. You will want to read this. Let's hope all of these don't tip. I'm going to move this one over so that I can talk about the next book. This is just one of the 4 editions of this that I have. It might be 5 at this point. Immortal Dark by Tigris Girma. This is another honorable mention. I'm surprised I never talked about it, but I also have 3 brain cells. Anyways, Immortal Dark. Everything to me. This book is everything to me. I don't know what else to say besides I saw the hype and I bought into the hype and I agree with the hype. I loved this. This was so good. This is such a good fantasy, and truly, I'm dying to see what happens next. Next up is one of my favorite authors, and I've talked about her before, and I'm going to showcase all 4 books of hers. I do need the 5th. J.L. I started with Wings of Ebony and Ashes of Gold, this duology. It was incredible. I loved it. I read the arc of Wings of Ebony, and I was addicted. I could not wait for Ashes of Gold. So much so that I joined the street team. It was such a great time. I loved this. They were incredible books. Incredible duology. So I was super excited when she announced House of Marion, which is her next trilogy. I've read books 1 and 2. I need to get book 2. Cover for book 3 was just revealed, and y'all, I'm ready. I am set and ready. She also wrote like a companion-esque type book called The Little Mermaid Against the Tide, based on the live-action Little Mermaid, and I really had fun with this. I think it's just a fun book. It is just a fun book. I did get the Target exclusive, and I loved it. I loved everything about it. Next up is a duology I hold near and dear to my heart. Ray Bear and Redemptor by Jordan Afico. This duology, it's just good. It is good. It is good fantasy, good writing. You love the characters, and I truly did. I realized Redemptor is in front. Ray Bear is the first book. Also, these covers are just stunning. They're stunning. And, yeah, you can't go wrong with this. This is, I feel like I flew through these. They're pretty hefty, but I flew through them, and I really, really love them. I think they're an incredible duology, and I highly recommend. Next up is someone I referenced a little bit ago. Who let me do this? It's Tomi Adeyemi and her Children of Blood and Bone series. I have only read Children of Blood and Bone, but I do own the entire trilogy, and I'm really excited to read the rest of it. I'm excited for the show. The casting looks phenomenal. I'm gonna have to go back and reread this before I read the next ones, because I listened to the audiobook, and I'm one of those people that, like, I can picture characters and stuff like that, but when it comes to, like, territories and maps and where they're going, I got nothing. I'm kind of dumb. Like, there's nothing up there for stuff like that. So it just kind of, like, goes over my head a little. So I was a little confused, but, like, that's an operator error. So it was on me. Just not being able to visualize it, and I think I'll visualize it better if I'm, like, physically reading it. So I'm excited to reread this and get into the rest of the trilogy, which I do have all of the pretty editions. They're somewhere around here. Who knows where? I have 3 brain cells, once again. Next up is Skin of the Sea and Soul of the Deep. This is Natasha Bowen. I loved these. Ain't nothing got me like a good water story. And I know Natasha got me. Also, these covers are gorgeous. Another one of those, like, the cover got me. Okay. And I'm glad it did. Mermaids. Need I say more? Get these. Next up is also another duology that I hold near and dear to my heart. I love Roseanne A. Brown. I am anxiously awaiting the next thing that she writes. But A Song of Grace and Ruin and A Psalm of Storm and Silence. I wish I could just, like, hug these. Like, I want to crawl into them. I loved these characters. I loved this world. I loved everything about it. And there's nothing more that I want than just to fall into these, honestly. Like, it was one of those that, like, this is YA, but in my brain I was like, why choose? Why choose any of them? Like, why just pick one when you can have them all? That's how much I loved all of the characters. This duology is incredible. You do not want to miss out on this. Oh boy. All my children coming. Mind you, I have multiple editions of this. If you've known me for any length of time, the amount of times that I obnoxiously try to forcibly bring up Tracy Deonn is unhealthy. I'm pretty sure, but Legendborn, Bloodmarked, Oathbound comes out March 4th. It's all I think about. What can I say that I haven't already said about these? Like, I am annoying about these books. Every time somebody asks, I'm just Oathbound. That's all I'm thinking about. Oathbound. Tracy Deonn. Genius. I loved this. It's incredible. It's just, there's nothing wrong with these books. I take no criticism. You cannot criticize Legendborn in my presence. Next book is The Poisons We Drink by Bethany Baptiste. This is incredible. Bethany's story is so inspirational. I'm so excited for what Bethany comes out with next, because this was just so good. It is one of those books that's just, That's how you feel, pretty much. That's how I felt reading this. This was so good. You can do no wrong with this book. Definitely go check it out. And follow Bethany for updates. She's writing like this smutty adult werewolf, and like I'm so excited. Follow Bethany. You will not regret it. Bethany is an incredible writer. And we're back to another Bethany. We talked about Cherish Farah. Now we're going to talk about my other Bethany Seymour books. I loved this duology. This is A Song Below Water. The sequel is A Chorus Rises. This was so fun. Another like Mermaid Siren series, but incredible. I loved it. It's fun. It's an easy read, but like that's not a bad thing. And I really enjoyed it. She also did a take on Little Women called So Many Beginnings. So good. So good. I almost prefer this. I probably do prefer this to the original. Excuse me. Happens. And we finally have her back. We get to talk about her again. I talked about her earlier. Kaylin Bayron. I love Cinderella is Dead. This is one of those books that like I've seen people criticize, and you know what? I don't care. I love it. And you can't change my mind. I loved this. It was fun. It was engrossing. I loved every second of it. I really did. And like I think like, I don't know how to describe it. I loved Sophia, and that's that. What else can I say? I also, this Poison Heart, there's a sequel to this, and I haven't picked it up yet. I need to read it, but Kaylin can do no wrong. Also an auto-buy author for me. And I have Sleep Like Death somewhere in here. I just have pretty editions of it. They're gorgeous. I should probably show it at some point. Next is my homegirl, my girl, Brittany S. Lewis. I adore her. I probably have annoyed her on social media at this point because I'm so excited for Black Moon. But this is The Dark Place. Brittany just knows how to write. And that's all there is to it. Brittany knows how to write. This sucked me in. It engrossed me. I loved every second of it. I somehow have 2 arcs. I don't know how. I should probably do a schmiv, aka giveaway, with one of these, but Brittany can do no wrong. Okay? And that's that. And it's not just because we share the same name, okay? The last few are nonfiction. So, just warning you, sorry that I'm out of frame. I've been pulling them all over. This poem has stuck with me since it was the inaugural poem in 2020. And I read this often, especially now, to remind me that we can fix this. You know, this is The Hill We Climb by Amanda Gorman. And I've read her other poetry book, also incredible, but I read this a lot, especially now. Next is Rennie Edolage, Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. This is really eye-opening, especially as a white person. Granted, I do have indigenous blood, and I'm learning more about my indigenous family members and my indigenous past, as I'm not registered with any tribe, as I try to, like, uncover all of that history and the paperwork. I don't feel comfortable naming a tribe, as I don't want to offend any of them. But I am indigenous. I do know that my paternal grandmother was fully indigenous, siblings born on the reservation, so it's just going and trying to find that paperwork. But this, as somebody who is white and white presenting, the rest of me is white, it's been really educational, and every now and then I will go back and read this, or just read certain passages that I've highlighted, and just remind myself that you can always learn more. And that's that. You can learn more, you can unlearn things, and it's okay to admit when you don't know, and to educate yourself. Next is a gorgeous, why am I blanking on the word? It's a bunch of stories by Black authors called Black Enough. There's a bunch of incredible writers in here. Danielle Clayton, Leah Anderson, Jason Reynolds, Nick Stone, Renee Watson, Tracy Baptiste, Brandy Colbert, Ibby Zoboy, Lamar Giles, and many others. This is just incredible. And it was eye-opening, and it was a really good read. Next, Beverly Daniel Tatum, PhD. We are not forgetting her title. This is Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria? Another eye-opening educational read, and I think it's so important as a white person um, to educate myself and to help educate others, as I don't think the burden should be on BIPOC or Black people in any instance. There's so many resources nowadays, and so many people have done this labor that we shouldn't be asking them to do it anymore. Um, this was an eye-opening read, and it's an incredible read, and I highly recommend this one. Another one that is very similar to that is The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. This is also eye-opening. I always turn this the wrong way every time. Yeah, this one rocked me to my core in a different way, and I think all of them have in some capacity. But this hit, and this and Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria, and Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race, and a couple of other books, well, also Miseducated, by Brandon P. Fleming, all kind of sit in that same vein of education that Black people didn't have to do, but they did. And I've learned so much from it, and I've taken so many steps and, like, reading, and I've gathered so much knowledge and unlearned so many things over the, course of my life and growing up and being given these resources or having access to these resources. And I think there's something really special, especially about something like Miseducated. As a like, this is a memoir, but it's still eye-opening, and I think that's important. I think it's important to teach yourself and to be able to step back and say, like, I don't know everything, and I probably do still have internalized racism in some parts of me, and it's a journey to unlearn that and to continue learning and to continue being open, and I think that's really important, and these books have been instrumental in that. And then last but certainly not least, a woman that I've really admired over her journey, but Stacey Abrams. This is How to Build Your Future and Make Real Changes, Lead from the Outside. This is just, it's really eye-opening, it's really educational, and I adore Stacey. I think she's a wonderful woman. She is strong and incredible, and I love her, and there's so much I could say, but yeah, just read this. Read any of Stacey's books. They're great. Now, we've done it. This is definitely more than 32, and that's okay. These are just personal, like, Black books that I would recommend. I think everyone should read, whether they're educational, whether they're fun, whether they're something that will just sit with you long after you finished. These books have a special place in my heart, and I've loved every single one of them, and I hope that you guys will give them a chance, will pick them up. I think it's so important in a world that really brings down BIPOC, but especially Black people. It's important to read their stories and to talk about them and to spread the awareness about them, because they deserve the same chance that white people get in this country as does every BIPOC. And it's just been an honor to read their works and to know that I've gotten that honor and that privilege to read them. And these are all such incredible books, and I'm bad at talking. I feel like I should script these, but then I wouldn't feel like me if I did. So, like, this is off the cuff. This is me, unscripted, just talking to you. Like, we're sitting in a room in a coffee shop, sitting in my library, just talking about these books as friends. And these are books that I would tell my friends to read, and I do tell my friends to read. So I'm here recommending them to you, and, like, the idea that I could have narrowed it down to 32 is laughable, to be quite honest. This is much more than 32, but they're all books that I adore, and I hope you guys will read them and love them and adore them as much as I do, or that you find a new favorite in some of these, because some of these books are on my favorites list, like, even to this day. Obviously, anyone who knows me knows I obnoxiously talk about Legendborn, so I obnoxiously talk about Kennedy Ryan. hell. That's just life, you know, and they're just books. They're good books, and they deserve to be talked about. And I feel grateful that I do get to talk about them. It's been so fun. I've loved this series so much, and I hope that people have gained things out of this and gained new recs and new favorites. And I'm obviously going to continue doing this. I always read diversely, and I always talk about that. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you will pick up some of these books and find your new favorite, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Who knows, it might even be my review for Don't Let the Forest End by C.G. Drews. Might be books to keep you warm in the winter because it's getting cold here in the Carolinas again. God forbid the weather just stays one temperature here now. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I know I've yapped a lot, and I know there's a lot of recommendations, but I hope you take some of them and enjoy them and love them as much as I do. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!